Now, getting your children to settle at bedtime and trying to get them to a regular routine at night can be difficult, with screaming tantrums and waking up in the middle of the night. Just two of the common problems. With us this morning to give us our tips on the best way to get your child to sleep is our parenting mentor, Sheila O'Malley. You're very welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. And I suppose all adults are like routine, the comfort of routine, the continuity. I'm sure babies would suit something similar, would like something similar. Definitely. So it's up to us as the parents to get them into a comfortable routine. You're
absolutely right. I think routine is the first word that comes to mind. And if you want your children to settle, you have to have a calm, predictable, consistent routine that happens every night. And then it you know, from the child's point of view, it makes them feel more secure, and it certainly helps bedtimes.
OK. And what form should this routine take, even from reading a story, playing some music, a warm bath?
Yeah, in fact, all of that, Aidan. I mean, certainly the routine that we had in my house was, you know, we used to call it the pyjamas, teeth, wheeze, into bed, story time, you know, a little bit of a chat. And the whole idea is that if you're spending time with your child at that time of day, and you've had this gradual wind down, so I think it's very important that, you know, you don't have the stimulants, like, you know, sugary drinks and maybe television up to bedtime or whatever, because all of those are stimulants. And you have this gradual wind down, you know, the dimmer lights, etc. It all aids a child just settling easier.
Ease them in.
Ease them
in. No tickling. I knew somebody used to tickle, used to drive the child, but they used to have great fun. The child would be hyper.
Hyper. And then, of course, I noticed that used to happen in my house, you know, and then I'd be left with the child who was wired. You know, so it certainly is easier if, in fact, you know, you just calm everything down.
All right. Not so much for the babies, but for the child now that's 2, 3, 4 maybe. And this idea of coming back down the stairs. You've got them into routine, they're in bed, but you're exhausted. You've done your day's work, you've got other stuff going on. Baby's gone to bed, you've looking at I've 2 hours here, a quality timer of an hour. What do you do? How do you deal with that one?
I have to say it's a difficult one, and before we came in an area, we've all been there. And haven't we? Haven't we all been there? You're back up the stairs. There's a couple of things. I suppose the child just needs reassurance. And you can provide the reassurance, but I think as a parent you also have to be firm that it's time for bed. So it's something between offering the reassurance and at the same time kind of holding your own boundary, you know, and being firm. So really very little talk, just back up to the bed. OK, here's the deal, you're going to bed, it's bedtime. We're all human. People lose the plot, people lose the temper, they feel very guilty about it afterwards. How do you deal with that in the aftermath? Do you just ignore it, or is it something you should explain to the child? And how do you explain that? Look what you made me do. Does that send the wrong signal? I know. Well, as you say, we're tired, and it comes at that time of day when really we need probably a little bit of time to ourselves. But the fact of the matter is, I think some of the times, if we do you know, the good stuff, like the consistent, calm bedtime routine, then what you'll have are times when maybe your child just feels anxious for maybe a change in routine, like starting school, or just some change in their routine, and that has then prompted them, because what we haven't said is that bedtime is all about security. In other words, in order to fall asleep, you know, you can't feel worried, you can't feel anxious. So the more that we ensure that the child feels that way, the less problems we're going to have. So then when we have the problems, that we just have to give the time and offer what it is that the child's looking for.
So it's getting your head around that idea. It's knowing what you have to contribute, even though you're tired. You've got to overcome that idea of, I'm tired, just I have another couple of yards to go on this.
That's it, and also just remembering that it's not going to be permanent. You know, none of these things are permanent. You look back and really, it happens, but it doesn't go on and on over, you know, years or whatever. OK, talk to me then about sleep resistance and things like that. I mean, a child who might insist the light has to remain on. We go with that because that offers the least resistance? Well, I think whatever. I think the whole, if a child is resistant to going to bed, usually it happens, you know, maybe from 2 until maybe preschoolers or whatever, in particular that. And it's about 2 things there. It's either separation anxiety, just get anxious when they're away from you, which happens very much at that time. And, you know, it's very, very important to deal with that. And the other thing, of course, that happens is this growing independence. So, you know, well, actually, I don't want to go to bed now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, which
Staying
is
up
something
midnight.
that's about being firm and, you know, up the stairs or whatever, but also being very calm with them. Separation anxiety is maybe that they might find it hard to settle on their own. And I don't think there's any hard and fast rules about that. Certainly, I lay down with children and help them to sleep. Other people, you know, say that, you know, it's just very important to get the child into bed. Maybe not give your physical presence as such, more your, you know, your presence in the room, etc. Because what you're trying to do is get the child to what's called self-soothe, which is that they don't need your physical presence in order to settle.
So if the room is comfortable and they're comfortable in the room, that helps.
Absolutely, all of that, and you know, maybe a bit of music or a story on a tape or a CD or whatever. The nightlight helps, and the regular check-in helps as well.
Okay,
know.
just that looking in the door and seeing that everything's okay.
Yeah.
And just going back to younger children then in particular, and the crying syndrome, they cry themselves to sleep. How long is leaving them crying on their own? How long should you do that for? Because there's different schools of thought in this. Let him cry himself to sleep, or no, take him out and comfort him again and put him back.
Absolutely. It's called controlled crying, Aidan, and I think some people would say it's akin to emotional abuse. The only reason the child stops crying is because nobody comes anyway. So what's the point in crying? The reality is the child's crying for a reason, and very often for maybe a young baby, they can't tell you that in fact their stomach is maybe sore or whatever. So in fact, I would say that always respond to a child, you know, who's crying, because we don't know, particularly with the younger ones, what may be going on for them. And a lot of the time, reassurance is enough. Your physical presence is enough. I would say, I don't think there's any amount of time. I don't think it's a matter of, you know, I leave them for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever. I think that the more you respond quickly to the child and give them your reassurance and then say, I'll be back up in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, and make sure you do that, actually then they feel, well, actually I'm not alone, my mum is coming back or whatever, and that actually helps them.
Okay. This other idea then of disruptive sleep and children coming out of their room and just climbing into your bed, middle of the night stuff. Is it best to maybe let them go sleep and then carry them back and they'll wake up in their own beds in the morning? Is it best to sort of say, no, you can't do this, you have to go back to your bed now? And the other side is just saying, I'm exhausted, I'll just go sleep. What do you do?
Well, you know what? I think everybody has musical beds in their house, and I think they try everything. There really isn't, again, any one rule that works. Again, if a child is going through a particular time, could be starting school, something like that, and you just know that they're a bit anxious, or in the case of one of my daughters with Harry Potter, Voldemort or something, you know, she's getting these kind of night terrors or something like that.
Coming to get you.
You make up a little mattress in your room. I think it's preferable. It's easier to get them out of that than it is to get them out of your bed.
Get them back into their nice, comfortable bed after.
Exactly. It's a bit of a halfway house. So in other words, say, listen, if you wake up, you know, I'm not always a happy mummy when I get woken up at night time. So, you know, there is that option. And, you know, come in and stay there. Equally, if they come into your bed, they come into your bed, and it's up to you. If you're not too tired, bring them back into the bed. All
right, some more parenting courses. I think we can put the details on screen just before we go. We should be able to put them up. There they are. That's stuff that's coming up over the next couple of weeks or so. From mid-January, Foxrock, Dundee, Leopardstown and Dublin. Saturday workshops and evening courses. Practicalparenting.ie is the website. Sheila, pleasure as always.
Thank you.